Okay, so here is my original table. So I have my technical coefficient table and my original table, and here are my iterations. But right as of now, they are set up as the original table. You can look up, this number is still 431. And what is happening here is that I have set this up as all of these things, these output table or this total output, these are summation of A1 through K1. So it's the summation of all of these cells. And then 59 is summation of all of these cells and so forth. Okay. And then what I have is I have set up all of these for the industry. So these are the industry parameters. So maybe let me highlight them in a slightly different color. So these are the industry outputs that will get outputs and outlays that will get adjusted. And if you look at the outlay number, I'll change these numbers, and you will see that all of these numbers are set up as a multiplication between this total number, which is C12, multiplied by the tech coefficient C11, the corresponding cell in the tech coefficient table. Okay, so if you look at these, the first change that I have is I make that 2, that I already did make 2. So let's highlight that in a slightly different color, maybe here. So I make that 2. So that takes this number to 41, and then I have to change this number to 19 also, because the government outlays have increased to 19 because they paid industry C $1 million. Now, this is 431. So sum of L1 through 11. This L1 through 11. So this should have changed to 4. Okay.
There was one more that you did change, I think.
So this should have changed to 432, right?
Yeah, but then you changed one other one. I think it's...
Oh, let's do Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. I'm just going to get highlight on this. And I'm going to highlight this one, all these. Is a tech coefficient and all that. So yeah, still set up correctly. And I'm going to highlight these 6 of them because they are the ones that need the big adjustments in the mix. And so these are your 6 industries. And always remember that these columns, they represent the output values, and when I add up these values, they represent the outlays. So now what you will notice is that the output of industry C has gone up to 41. Okay, so basically my output also has to change to match that. So my outlays have to change to match my output increase. So I'm going to change this to 41. And as a result, because I've set them up correctly, the tech coefficient takes care of the fact that now all these outputs have increased. And because of the increases in all the other industries' output, what will happen is that there are some changes here. So I'm going to copy these changes, paste them as values first, and then I'm going to copy them again and paste them here as a transpose. So now what I'm going to do is I see all the changes that occurred in different industries' outputs, and I'm going to now start to change these outlays in these cells, or at least in these 6 of these cells, to change them. It'll be 6 of these, so I probably should highlight this one as well. So I'm going to change the outlays of all these 6 industries to match their new outputs. Okay, and I see that industry A did not see any significant change up until 1 decimal place. So I'm not going to do anything here. I'm going to change this to 59.2. I change this to 41.2. Change this to 39.1. And change this to 46.2. And you will notice I did not change anything in E because the number did not change in the first decimal place. The number is just too small. Okay, so I did not change here. And now one more adjustment that I do need to make. I'm not going to change any of these the payment sector. I'm not going to change any of these, but I do have to make a change here at the household level. That household level change will be dictated by the fact that if I look at my original table, the household's output was 85 and their outlays were 72. So their output was 85 and their outlays were 72. Okay, so I'm going to use that same ratio, 72 over 85, based on their new output. So you see here that the household's output has increased now to 85.2. So I want to change the outlays for the household based on that original ratio, which was 72 over 85. So I'm going to do 72 over 85, which is set up here, multiplied by 72. 85.2. So that gives me 72.16. And again, if I look at it from up to 1 decimal place, It's 72.2. So I'm going to change this number now again to 72.2. Okay, so now my new increased outlays. So I'm just going to let me highlight these cells that I had to change in every step. So these have to be changed, and then this one also had to be changed, but by a different method. Okay, so these had to be changed based on the proportion, and these have to exactly match the outputs. Okay, now I have new numbers, but the good thing about this spreadsheet is that now the way I've set it up, all of these numbers have automatically gotten updated.
Right.
Okay, because they're set up as summation of A1 through K1. So I'm going to do copy these, I'm going to paste that as values, and I'm going to copy them again and paste them as transpose things, and I'm going to now match up. So 64.2, it's a significant change, so I'm going to change that to 64.2. I'm going to change that to 59.3. Change that to 41.3. 39.1 is still 39.1, so I'm not going to do any change here. I'm going to change that to 40.1, and I want to change that to 46.3. And I still have to change the households, and now I'm going to do change based on 85.4 because that's what my new number is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 85.4. Okay, so I end up with 72.3, so I'm going to change that to 72.3. Okay, so that leads to a new number after my second iteration. Now my third iteration would be copy these over, all of these numbers, and paste these over as values, and copy these over and paste these over as my new values that I want to match. So again, I'm going to match the 6 outlays, so 64.3, 59.4, 41.3 does not change. 39.2 becomes 39.1 becomes 39.2 now. 40.1 does not change, and then 46.3 becomes 46.4. And then my households now are 85.5, so I'm going to try to reflect that to 85.5. So 72.4, so this number becomes 72.4. That concludes my third iteration, and now my new output is 435.5. And you can go on and on like this up to 6 iterations, because after 6 iterations, what you would notice is that most of these would not change by any significant amount after that. Okay, so that's why. So now now you can use this new economic output, the final output after 6 iterations. I'm just going to use the 3 to create the input-output multiplier, and that multiplier will be the final output, which is 435.1, minus the initial output 431, divided by the size of the stimulus, which was 1 in this case, just $1 million of stimulus. So your multiplier effect is 4.1. And you will see as you move forward to up to 6 iterations, that number might change to a little bit higher number. But this is what you're finally looking for.
Okay.